Do people keep notes? Like I just
No, but that's cool.
I just jotted like a couple of things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I could go blank at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here. We've had a couple weird silences on a couple podcasts.
Yeah.
It happens. I mean,
I ran the last one, and then I'm just like, cool. That's a cool story.
no, because this guy was saying a lot of really cool stuff. The one that we just released today, and what he said was so awesome that I was just like,
both our minds were blown. We couldn't react.
I'm like, that's a cool thought. And then I was still processing it, and then it was just like,
where am I?
Like,
so then he didn't know what to do. So then he started talking again.
It was weird. I mean, he's a cool guy. He's written like 4 books, and he's done a bunch of different stuff. So he has a lot to talk about. I actually wish we would have talked to him a little bit longer because I had a lot of more questions. So we should probably get him on the podcast again. But anyway, we're pretty much live. So thank you for doing this. Thanks for inviting us to your office and giving us the time to be on the podcast. For those of people who are not familiar with who you are, could you tell us, who you are and what you do?
Yes. Well, thank you, guys. And I feel that you guys are doing an amazing thing for the industry, podcasts especially, and real estate. So my name's Veronica Jacobo. With Farmers Insurance Agents. Became an insurance agency owner 8 months ago. So I've been enjoying the ride ever since. And it's definitely an industry in a Pandora box, because there's so many things that entails in becoming an agency owner that people don't tell you from the get-go, that you just have to jump into it and say, figure it out.
Is there no training to it, or?
There is training, but one thing is the training behind the products. Other things is training behind what point in time do you hire someone? What individuals you want to on the business management side of things as well, and then also the overhead and the cash flow. So like any other business and business entrepreneur. Not that I wasn't prepared for it, but there's always slips and falls that you're like, oh, wow, that has to come out of my pocket. Okay. So it happens. Yeah.
There's always things that come up in business that you don't know. You're always putting out fires left and right.
Yes.
It's just part of business.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's just, I guess I can only relate to it on the real estate side, right? It's like you take these courses, real estate boot camps and all this, and then we actually working on a deal. Half the things that happen when you're doing that deal, you were never actually taught.
Right. Exactly.
So it's always, I think the biggest thing is just doing it and just pushing through and just figuring it out on your own. Right? Because if you let those things that, if you start thinking about the things that might happen, then you're never going to do anything. And at that point,
you overthink it.
Right.
Yes. And trust me, I've overthinked so many things that it's gotten me where I'm at now. And I've identified certain things in the industry that I myself want to make a difference in the industry. So insurance is not new to me. I've been licensed for over 20 years already. So I started in the auto industry while I was in college, just your substandard and standard companies.
So, yeah, I guess that was my next question. What did you do before this?
Well, before this, I guess the best way to look at my whole credentials would be looking me up on LinkedIn, but I was in the banking industry for 10 years. Before that, I was in financial industry with Prudential Financial. Which really opened the door for me to love and enjoy the whole financial aspect of things and the insurance. But I always wanted to be the go-to person for everything. So with my managing experience in the past and the insurance industry, getting to a point where I was only doing auto insurance, well, why can't I do homeowners insurance as well? And then going to the financial world, only doing the annuities, retirement planning, and life insurance aspect of things. But I also wanted to do, why can't I do the home and auto as well? Right. And then you go into the banking industry and you're learning everything there is about, the service and your clients, establishing relationships. But you're teaming up with certain individuals that only worry about numbers, and not really worrying about the whole aspect of your client and getting to know, where do they come from? So I would always tell my coworker, have I told you I love and enjoy what I do? If I could only implement the insurance piece into it. So insurance has always been in my blood, and I guess the whole financial planning for my clients.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's like huge because that's like a lot of people are not, well, they don't know about insurance and they're not interested to know about insurance. Mm-hmm. So it's like the one thing that people probably know the least amount about. Mm-hmm. So the information's like, huge.
Because it's also one of those things that you don't need until you actually need it.
Exactly. So people see it as not an investment.
It's kind of like life insurance.
It's life insurance, yes. It's an investment. It's life insurance, if you really think about it, it's not for you. It's for the people you leave behind. Yeah. And I recently, my father passed away in November recently, and I keep on telling all my friends or anyone in my generation, if our parents didn't plan for moments like that, you better be prepared with that minimum $35,000, depending on what your parents' last desire was.
Yeah.
In this situation, he always wanted to go back to Mexico, and we had to fly him out there, and it's costly. It's costly, and people don't think about that. And it's something that I'm really trying to change the industry, because a lot of I would say still 99% of my business comes from referrals from clients that know that I do care about my clients, and I'm very customer and service oriented and centered on getting to know you as an individual and what's more important to you. So when someone sends me a client, I always want to make sure that I know them, but also help the individual that referred them to me. Hey, this is what I'm looking for. And I've also noticed that if you're in the lending industry, real estate agents, you yourself should know a little bit about the insurance piece, because it makes a difference. Sometimes you're just searching and quoting for your client, mm-hmm. but what's the number one thing that your client needs? If that client needs an agent that really could identify their needs, then let me just talk to them. Kind of like, trust me, I'm going to take care of your client. But it's I have to prove myself to them as well.
What's the biggest thing in business is to build relationships and build your credibility so that you can get referrals, and then you keep growing and scaling your business.
Correct. I agree.
Those are always going to, if you take care of people, they're always going to come back, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and you have to be accountable. Take accountability. I was here yesterday. If it's a Sunday, you need me, I will be here for you. That's one thing that my clients know about me, taking accountability. I've had clients that 9:00, they're at a car dealer. Hey, I need you. They'll send me a text or a private message through Facebook. And if I see it, hey, okay, what do you need? I'm always with my laptop on me. But you also get the people that are, picking at your brain. Hey, what do you want? Or what can I do? And you sense that, like, okay, you're just taking advantage of my info, but then you're going to go online,
right,
shop around. That's definitely the client that I'm not looking for, because I'm more relationship building. And I will identify if you have children and you don't even have a living trust, well, let's talk about that, because living trusts are very important as well.
Well, let me ask you, so what made you decide to take the jump from, working for someone else doing insurance to opening up your own business doing it? Was there like a better opportunity to provide people, with higher services and build more relationships, doing it on your own as opposed to for somebody else, or what was the reasoning behind it?
Well, when you're out doing it on your own, you're less restricted. I'm my boss. No one's going to be able to tell me, hey, what time are you going to close the doors? Well, I need to close the doors today because I need to go out and network and meet someone and try to establish a relationship with another owner or a loan officer or a real estate agent. And when you're stuck in a 9-to-5 job, which is really not 9 to 5 if you're in the banking world, but when you're stuck there, the whole asking for permission. Like, I always had the mentality of this is my four walls. I'm coming in, and as an economist with my background, if I'm not here and I'm calling off sick, what's my opportunity cost? Mm-hmm. Who am I not going to meet today that's going to cost me money? But some people are just, okay, I have 10 days, sick days, I'm going to take them off, right? But to answer your question, what guided me to just deciding and interviewing with other banks or other financial industries and just say, you know what, I am done. It was the whole compassion piece. There is no compassion in the industry with corporations. And it's not the name of the company. It's mostly your so-called leaders, right? Just believe in your talent. And I'm a big believer of passion and skill, and you can't have one without the other. And just going out there, and I said, you know what? My dad needs me. My mom needs me. And it's more of that, if I need to close the doors because they need me, I'm going to close the doors. So that's what launched me to, okay, I got to be my own boss. But I've always wanted to be an insurance agent or have my own agency.
So what I'm hearing is freedom is probably the number one reason.
My God, yes. Freedom. But money also makes you free, gives you freedom, right?
Yeah.
So you also need to work hard to make that money.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's dive into the insurance, because I know a little bit about insurance, but not a lot, and I assume probably a lot of people out there barely know anything, because it's not something that it's in the forefront of people's minds, and I feel like a lot of people tend to ignore it. So like maybe if you can go over, I don't know if there's like a bunch of different pillars of insurance or what different types of insurance there are, and then kind of go into each one,
Right.
kind of give like a broad overview, and then
I guess
later
for
we
us
can
it
get
would-
into the real estate industry and business insurance in general.
Well, I guess it would be better for us to kind of talk about like just real estate based or business ownership based, since that's probably most of our audience.
Yeah, but that's probably
I don't know.
everyone
It's
needs
up to you.
insurance. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'll answer whatever questions you guys pop up there. What do you want to learn first? The insurance industry or the...
Well, yeah, if you give us a broad overview of the different types of insurance, and then which insurance do you think that all business owners need, and then real
Okay.
estate in general. So let's go from broad down to specific.
Okay, well, it's what the whole phrase says, cover your assets, right? As investors, we tend to really think about building our wealth and not really protecting our wealth. So I consider myself a very resourceful insurance agent, and I'm a financial agent as well. So when I say resourceful, I am the one that is an investor myself. I own property. I've dealt with GCs, general contractors. I've dealt with the overhead. I've dealt with the general contractor that just leaves and never comes back.
There's a lot of those.
There's a lot of those, right? And I've also dealt with landlords, or not landlords, but tenants. So my number one priority is building my wealth and my clients' wealth, along with protecting. And what do we mean by protecting it? Well, if it's going to cost me this amount of money today, in order for all of my hard work to be protected, then I'm going to go ahead and do it. So when it comes to insurance, if I'm talking about general contractors on a broad scale, and not to bash general contractors, but I mean, they build everything, right? They build the office that we're sitting in now. They come in and do their demolition, their remodeling and everything. So kudos to them. But a lot of them are not business oriented. And there's so many skilled contractors out there that they subcontract so much of their work, but no one's protected. And by protected, I mean they don't have their workers' comp. They don't have their top-notch artisan insured the right way. Why wouldn't you? If something happens to that individual by him falling, becoming disabled, there goes your company. This individual is going to go ahead and get an attorney, having the proper attorney, they're going to go ahead and sue you and say bye-bye to your company. Why? Just because you didn't want to pay the insurance for a workers' comp. So basically, if you really care about your employees, protecting them the right way. But what I've noticed is there's lack of knowledge when it comes to these types of policies, workers' compensation policies, general liability policies, and it's my job as your insurance agent to be fully informed and understanding your job and what you do or what's your exposure for me to give you the right price.
So what kind of insurance would you recommend for general contractors, and what does that cover?
Well, general contractors, it would be, first of all, are you a general contractor?
No.
And by general contractor, well, not yourself, right? But are you a general contractor? And by that, if you're subcontracting more than 25% of your work, then you need to let me know. Let me know. I'm going to ask the right questions. Be honest with me, because I'm going to identify if you're a GC or you're an artisan. And if you're an artisan, okay, you're specialized in drywall and painting, how many employees are under you? Okay, but if you subcontract 20% of everything else, then that's fine. I'm going to educate you on what your subcontractors need to have as far as insurance goes, which is the general liability. If you have an office space, your personal liability as well, or personal property, your tools, even floaters for your materials, right? Because if you're coming into my vacant property and the property goes to flames, who's actually going to pay for all those materials?
Right.
Okay, and even the investors. Are you insuring your projects the right way? And by the right way, I mean, talk to me. Tell me, be honest with me, because a lot of policies that I see, well, this property is vacant, you're doing remodeling, but you have a homeowner's policy. Why?
So what type of insurance should an investor have if they have a vacant property that's being worked on?
It's a vacant policy, and knowing the companies that I work with, it's okay. How long does the project need to be completed before it becomes a builder's risk? So we do have policies, or I have companies that will insure the property as a vacant property, and under the dwelling piece, certain materials will be covered as well. But the project needs to be done within 90 days. If the project's not done within 90 days, then, you need to tell me. If there's going to be any roof issues or any type of broken windows, what's out there, because we're also looking at the liability piece, meaning you're the investor, you're insuring the property, but who's really at fault if someone gets injured? Okay, and if someone gets injured, then it's going to be a lawsuit, because what if that individual passed away due to the negligence?
Right.
And I've seen that happen with landscaping. I've seen that happen with people falling off of the second floor, because there's no sense of security. There's no training for that company. And I understand it's a cash flow. It's a cash flow issue. I don't have the time. I don't have the money as well to insure this property or to even discuss anything with someone. But hey, like I've told my contractors and my investors, I'm the specialist here. Let me do my job, because you're doing your job the right way. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that you're properly insured and no one's going to sue you.
Right. At what point do you go to builder's risk?
Depending on the project size.
Okay, so I guess we'll kind of start with one of our projects, right?
Okay.
So let's go with Ridgeway. That's pretty much 90% new construction.
Okay.
We're gutting it down to the studs. We're adding a full second floor to it.
Nice.
The project is going to be about 9 months from start to finish.
Well, rehab time is 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
Right. So I guess if you could walk us through that transition, because you have to have different type of insurance depending on where the project is going, right?
Exactly.
So I guess from the beginning where it's, vacant, fully gutted, and then as construction happens, then how does that, what do you switch to and how does that work?
Well, if your project's already going to be, what, a 9-month project, you said?
Well, 6 months
6
construction.
months? Okay,
What are you talking about, the construction phase, or are you talking about the time that we hold it?
The time that the construction phase.
5 months.
Right. So, and then cash flow becomes an issue through this, right? And I mean, I've been there. I've had cash flow issues. So it becomes a builder's risk depending on how much work you're actually going to do. And if it's 80% of a total gut, then we need to sit down and really identify what are we protecting. And yes, these policies could become pricey. It could be $5,000 per building, depending on how much work you're actually doing. But then again, who is doing the work for you? So are you asking that other contractor to provide insurance for you, and you're just doing a vacant policy, and the vacant policy, depending on the length of time, then I'm going to convert it from a vacant policy into a homeowner's policy once it's ready for it to be, or not a homeowner's policy, a landlord policy. once it's ready to be rented out.
Well, say you're
If you're going to rent it.
If you're putting on the market to sell,
Yeah.
So it's just a vacant.
Do you go to builder's risk, and then once it's complete and you put on the market,
A vacant
do you switch
policy.
back to vacant?
Yes. So we'll start off with the vacant. I mean, we'll start off with the builder's risk, is that because that's what you're doing, right? Then you're gonna just have a vacant home there. Mm-hmm. You're just gonna have it vacant. It's yours. Do you have a loan on it? If there's a loan on it, then the insurance is going to require you to have the insurance. The lender. Yes, the lender is going to require you to have a policy.
Right, and they usually do. I don't know. Matt's the one that takes care of all this stuff, so he knows more about it than I do.
Yeah.
So
so Matt could probably teach me a couple of things too.
No, and just call somebody.
So if you have like a general contractor and he gets injured there and he's insured, does his insurance pay for it, or does your insurance as the homeowner, as an investor?
Well, now is this the general contractor or an employee of the general contractor?
Let's say each case.
Each case, whichever case may be, you both need to have the insurance piece. And once it's determined in front of a court, or once it's determined by both insuring companies, then that individual is going to pay. And even if Matt, if you're not responsible for the injuries and it does go to court, there is still all of these fees, attorney fees that go into it. That's why you want to be insured.
Well, I just mean without the court, just like, okay, someone gets injured, what insurance is supposed to pay? Like, what's one's responsible?
It should be the contractors.
Yeah.
It's your negligence. Who was the one negligent for coming in and, if he fell because he's tripped on his own tools, so then do you have workers' comp?
Yeah.
So.
Or if his employee, they haven't sued his employee, then they pay. But then what if you got his brother to come help one day and he's not an employee, or if he doesn't have workers' comp?
It's a risk that they're taking.
Then he wants the money out of you.
Yeah.
And you're like, you told me you're insured and you show me your insurance.
Even if there was no contract, I guess from what we've learned, if we provide a place to work and the material to work, he's technically an employee of yours. Right? There doesn't have to be
if we're talking about the general contractor,
right.
Yes.
Like if you provide a place to work and everything that the guy needs to work, he's technically your employee,
Correct.
Whether or not there's a contract or not.
Correct. Unless there are specifics on you're a subcontractor.
Right.
And I need you to come in and do this job. But even that GC needs to request that subcontractor their insurance. Someone somewhere is going to have to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why you see a lot of non-U.S. citizens working in construction and getting hired, because they know they're not going to go out there and sue someone.
Right.
They can.
But they probably won't.
Why? Because they're afraid. And I've seen that happen recently with a client that came to me just for life insurance. And I said, well, tell me about you, uncovering the fact that they have a business. Well, why do you have a business if you're telling me that your boss? Who's your boss? Well, my boss is the property owners that I work for. Well, how did you become a business? Well, they took me to an accountant. They made me a business. I'm like, they made you a business because they want you to be under a 1099, but your business is not even insured. So in this case, if you're doing snow removal or cleaning for this investor's properties and someone trips and falls or something happens, the investor doesn't want to be liable for it, which is fine. But he should have taken you the whole way, not just gotten you a business name. Now you have to get insurance. He wants to make sure that, no, it's not my fault because I'm hiring this managing company, this property manager that's supposed to oversee everything.
Right. And now that's for the rehab side of things. For as a landlord, for your rentals, what type of policy should you have?
Landlord policy. But also identifying how many properties do you own. I educate my clients on speak to an attorney, get an LLC on your policies. Do you have a living trust already set up? Well, why would I want to do all that, Veronica? Because if I trip and fall on your property and you only have what basically people do, insure personal liability under the policy for $300,000, and my attorney identifies that it's not enough, because now I'm disabled. Okay, and what if I was the breadwinner and I have 3 kids?
Right.
Well, I'm going to need a lot of money, and $300,000 is not going to cut it for me. That's not even going to cover the medical expenses. So you want to protect your assets and making sure that, hey, how much do I really need? If it's going to be $1 million in personal liability, and Veronica, I understand that you want to sell me this umbrella policy. Yes, this is my recommendation. Based on what you've told me and what your needs are, this is what I'm going to recommend. If there's an issue with paying for it, let's meet in the middle. Talk to me. That's all. I mean, it's either going to be a one of two things. People are already in front of you because they want to work with you. Are you interested but not sure? Which one is it? Because if you're interested but not sure, I haven't explained myself the right way for you to be able to make a decision today.
So say as an investor, if you want to protect yourself, anybody that you hire, well, first of all, you want to have the proper insurance in place, but then anybody that you hire, do you want to verify that they have the correct insurance in place? Or if you're like, well, if I have insurance, it's a catch-all, anyone gets hurt, I already have insurance to cover things.
So you want to make sure they have insurance, and it's okay with me if they call me. I love condo associations, especially the big ones, because they have strict rules when it comes to the insurance. And one thing is insuring your condo, individual condo, and another thing is the HOA, which is the actual dwelling of the property. So if you are a condominium owner and you just want to start doing construction, the president of the condominium is going to say, well, wait, we need your contractor to give us all of these insurance. And I've seen it. I've had general contractors come to me, hey, give me a quote for this, right? Well, I need you to talk to me about your revenue. I need to know how many employees do you have. They don't want to pay, and they are afraid of audits. Trust me, I'm afraid of audits as well. I come from the banking world. Anyone says audit, I'm going to freak out. Yeah. But they're afraid of audits. It takes a great agent to be able to ease them down and explain to them what the process is. And when you're quoting a workers' comp policy, it's similar to doing your taxes at the end of the day. That's the way I see it, and that's the way I've explained it. Give me the information now. Let's plan for this. And if your payroll was higher than expected, then guess what? You're going to have to pay a little bit more. That's what the auditors do. But it's lack of information that's out there.
I mean, because I guess most guys see it as just
expense.
Just an expense.
It's an expense,
because in most jobs, nothing happens.
In most jobs, nothing. In most jobs, something happens. They just don't talk about it.
Right.
It's like investors that say, hey, I have this beautiful 2-unit property. It's like, yeah, tell me everything that happened in between that.
Right.
Be upfront and honest. What broke? Who stole your money? Was there a contract that you signed? And, I've seen it. I've seen it because I was a business specialist as well. I discussed and viewed issues with condo associations, with rehabbers, and it's just putting all of my knowledge together and being able to become that resource for my client and say, hey, if you want to be that GC that's going to be able to make some money, trust me, I will guide you. If you do good, I will do good. Okay, and I'm going to guide you in a way that if this condo association is asking you to have $1 million umbrella, if they want to see your workers' comp policy, if they want to see your general liability at $2 million aggregate limits, I will get that quote for you. Just give me all the information, basically saying, give me the time of day. And it's not going to be like your regular personal auto insurance quote where I could give it to you with my eyes closed. No. The sooner you answer my questions, the sooner this will be.
Yeah.
So I've said, and it's a man's world. I dealing with general contractors, just one, they see me as a female, I will get loud. I will tell you.
I know one female GC.
Really? One. Well, you know what? And yeah, one female GC. Yeah, and it's learning the business.
Yeah.
In order for me to be in the game.
Yeah. Now to kind of actually go back, if we could talk about because we were talking about this before we started the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there was a bunch of, or I don't know if at the beginning, that there was a lot of things that you didn't know about, you know, starting your own agency, and if you could go over those things and how you overcame them.
Well, just as far as marketing, I think that's like the number one thing. You know, I'm not a marketing specialist, but I did give an internship to Talisa, which is the one that comes out in my videos. Talisa Delgado, she was off for the summer. She's a senior now. So we both learned together. And just really getting your name out there, but getting your name out there in a way that people are going to come back and trust you. I've seen, you know, I've seen policies that it even gives me a heart hurt. You know, there's like, how do people do this? Why do people do this to these individuals where they're not even taking the time to uncover everything that they need? Yeah. What else is out there? It's, you know, having the book of business, not a book of business, but having that, who are you going to call? Right. And I've heard it in the past, open up an agency or open up a business. You'll find out who your true friends and family really are, who's going to be there to support you. In my case, I've been blessed where, you know, it's probably more 25%. They've been supportive, 75% they haven't, you know, and blessed in the way that, hey, you're uncovering yourself from the get-go.
Well, there's that meme where it's like, oh, I got a new job, and you get like 100 likes. Then someone's like, oh, I'm starting my own business. And it's like 5 likes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and you mean the people that actually are doing business with you, right, when you reached out to them?
People that are doing business with me or have even given me the time of day to do business with me, because I am also very honest. If my price is not there, and it's way off, I'm going to give you an education piece. Go back, do this, tell your agent to do this. But at the same time, they should value my time and value I'm pretty much shop for value versus price.
I guess it's always weird because, I mean, if they've known you for a while, so like, oh, you know, I know what you've
Veronica's
done, so I'm not
going
to trust you. I've known you since you were 13 years old, and I know what you did, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, but it's like the people that you're going to go with are literally the same.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And their friends are probably not doing business with them either. Right?
Tell me who you're hanging with, and I'll tell you who you are.
Right. Now, any other challenges that you encountered, like, because you're relatively new to having your own agency. Is there anything that you would advise other people that might be either thinking about starting their own real estate agency or insurance agency or any sort of business that you would advise
anyone
to
that's at 100% commission?
Oh, yeah, commission.
100% commission. I would say that you're your own boss. It doesn't matter if you're a real estate agent and there's someone else's name on the window, or if you're an insurance agent and there's someone else's name on the window. It's really seeing yourself that this is your small little business within the industry. That's the way I played myself in the banking industry. This is my 4 walls, and the people that come in here are gonna come in because of my talent, my know-hows, and I'm gonna give them the best advice ever. The only thing is that there's no when you're 100% commission, well, there's no salary. So really being able to manage your money the right way and making sure that you're making ends meet, but also paying all your bills. And yes, we're going to take losses. You know, sometimes we're going to invest in something that, did I really need it, right? And more for females. Did I really need this, right? I want to go shopping. But just go for it. Do it. Invest in the right way. Invest more in marketing. Invest more in, do you want to spend money on buying leads? I feel that I want to spend more of my time and money establishing relationships that people will see my talents and use me as a resource. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter which name of insurance company is on the wall. At the end of the day, it's who's your agent, who's going to pick up your call, if they're going to be there for you on a Sunday, on Labor Day at 9 p.m., whatever it is. If I'm exposing myself to be your go-to person for anything, then I'm going to hold myself accountable for that.
Okay.
I was going to say, is there anything in your notes that you want to go over that you think we should know, or say like business owners in general?
Business owners in general?
Because I feel like we don't know what we don't know. So instead of us asking questions, maybe if you have some really valuable things that you think people should know.
Something valuable, it's not about the price. It's about what's your sense of urgency. And the shopping around for online pricing and not establishing a relationship with an agent. I have clients that have reached out to me. I haven't even met them face to face because I know how to handle an online shopper that really cares for the service that I'm going to provide to them, because then it becomes more of a, you're just price shopping versus do we even have the skill to close the deal on someone that you don't even know face to face. And if I'm projecting that trustworthiness over the phone, then that should say a lot. Yeah, sometimes the prices are not there. I'm not saying that I'm the cheapest, but what I'm saying is what identifies me as your agent. And I hate the word cheap, the less expensive. I'm not the less expensive, but I'm going to show you how to value your assets and your hard-earned money and making sure that it's going to be protected the right way.
So when you're going out to buy insurance, you should be putting value over price.
Yes. Value over price.
I think earlier we were talking about trust, if you could go into that.
As far as what?
I don't know.
Trustworthiness?
Or no, like trust. Like if
State's trust?
Yeah.
A living trust?
Yeah, living trust.
Okay. What do you want to know about that? I've had my living trust since I was 23. I don't even have children, nor am I married.
Right. I guess like the benefits and why you should have one, because it's something that people don't.
What is living trust and why should someone get one? Like,
well, there's so many. There's living trust, and I will always do this. I will always refer you to the attorneys that I myself have personally used because I believe in them. I'm one that will also go out there and interview them and say, hey, do we have a relationship here? Does it feel good? Like I've said, my real estate attorney, Teresa, she was there for me when
like
I
Penzica,
really...
Teresa?
Like Teresa Penzica.
Is that your attorney?
She's my real estate attorney, yes. And she was there for me where she opened up my mind in the moment that I really needed her. And to have an attorney that didn't even know me to take my call and explain to me how things are going to be dealt with was mind-blowing. And thanks to my loan officer, she's the one that's like, call her. And there was no sense of follow-up. But when it comes to living trust, yes, there's that. You get a corporation to build that corporate veil, right? That protection. But a living trust also identifies to what's going to happen to avoid any type of probate. So do you own a properties, but if you pass away, we don't even have children, who does it go to? Right? In my case, I worry about now my mom that she's still living. I want to make sure she's going to be properly taken care of in the event of my passing. And do I want my money to be spent on medical bills? Or if I become a vegetable, God forbid, who have I named on my living trust to pull the plug? So living trust to me, it could get as detailed as who's going to pull a plug and whoever the executor of my estate is, meaning who's going to oversee everything, how things should be played out. So I will always talk about getting a living trust, protecting your assets, especially if you have children. Why are we not doing this? It's a will. It's a POA. It's who do you want your kids to go to when something happens to you?
I mean, it's those things that you don't really think about, right?
You don't really think about it.
It's like death. It's literally the only thing everyone has in common.
Exactly.
But you don't ever
That's what I say. If there's one guarantee we're going to have in life, it's going to be death. We just don't know when it's going to happen. And if your agent is talking to you about life insurance, why are they not talking about sending you to an attorney to obtain a living trust?
Right.
So it's, again, going to the agent that really is knowledgeable and cares about you and your family. Not
just getting a paycheck or getting paid for writing your policy.
I thought about it. I would pull Ricardo's plug in a second.
It's like, how much is it to me? Yeah, I joke around this with my sister a lot because she's my executor
Yeah.
She's listed. So when I told her that, it's like, you want to have a conversation with who you choose to be your executor, right? Because it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of pressure.
A lot of work, a lot of pressure. The family hates you because they want the piece of the pie. Well, calm down, right? There's steps to be taken care of, and the family, all they're going to think is you're just stealing the money, you're doing this, but no. So she got all happy when I told her she would be my executor, and I said, well, wait. The executor of my estate doesn't mean you're my beneficiary.
Yeah.
Right. You get all
So
that
she's like,
responsibility
you're making
without
me
the
work?
reward.
It's like, yeah, it's a job.
Yeah, it's a job. I said, but don't worry, the estate will pay for it. We'll pay you.
All right, we got some questions for you.
Okay.
This is not quite a speed round, but basically like 30-second answers per question.
All right.
I'm thinking about putting like a recap of every single question as we've answered from all the guests that we've had for like episode 25. Instead of having like a guest, just put like what like my favorite questions and how every guest has answered.
Favorite answer.
Oh, that's cool.
Because like everyone has a different answer.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, right? Every time we ask like, what's your favorite failure? They're like, oh fuck, I failed so many times.
It's like,
literally every single person. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be cool.
We're also going to do like a horror story episode. So actually, let me ask that question. Since you're in insurance, I bet you hear, a lot of times people probably come to you after it's too late, after they didn't have insurance.
Yes.
So they want to get insurance so it doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
What's like the worst horror story you ever heard of like something that happened to somebody because they didn't have insurance?
Oh my God. The picking up the phone and saying, please tell me my husband paid for that life insurance.
Yeah.
That's the worst feeling I've received. Because it's husband and wife. Sometimes I'm big on having these conversations or these meetings with my clients. One is who's the decision maker, but another thing is who's going to be the influential to the decision maker. And husband and wife, you both need it. We're still in a world where leave your machismo to the side, and it's not for you. It's for your family and your kids. And if you don't want a certain amount to go to your wife, then why are you even with her?
I mean, even if you don't do it, half is going to go to her because that's how it's legally done.
Legally done, exactly. Where's the state of Illinois, right?
Half goes to your wife or spouse, and then like children divide the rest equally.
Exactly.
So it's going to go to her regardless.
Have you ever encountered where someone did have life insurance, but the beneficiary was still like an ex-wife, like not the current wife?
Well, they forgot to change the beneficiaries? Yeah. No. But I have encountered the beneficiary where I knew the individual. And this was back in the my previous employer. But I knew the person that passed away, and their children was the beneficiary. So, of course, I had a strong relationship with them. They come to me, and it's me trying to educate this 21-year-old, like, do not throw this money away. Don't do this. I don't want you to go out there and purchase a car. I'm going to show you what you can do or what you should do.
Did he spend it?
He spent it. Like $200,000 gone down the drain. The first thing he bought was 2 cars, paid in cash. I'm like, man, people just see things. I've seen.
Nice cars?
I have no idea. I'm not I don't invest in cars. I'm sorry. I'm still driving a 99 Audi because I plan on, once you see me with the Range Rover, it's going to be my statement maker.
Not only that, but I feel like I'm the same way. I don't really care. I used to be really into that, but now it's like I'd rather invest the money in something that is actually going to give me some sort of return instead of just
right.
Give me a little bit of a high every time I get in it.
Yeah.
I have a horror story for you.
What is it?
So I know an investor, or I know somebody that was managing a project for another investor, and the contractors that he was using weren't like, they were probably like sub guys with like no insurance and stuff, right? Just whoever. Mm-hmm. So the one guy was, I think it was in between like houses, or he was basically like lived in the property as he worked on it. He's like, oh, can I stay there? And he's like, oh yeah, that would help because then it could be worked on faster. And he's like, yeah, because
I know which story is.
I'm not moving into my next place until like a few weeks or something.
Okay.
So anyways, like he started working, like a week went by where he didn't the investor didn't hear from him. So we went to the property to go check on it. And long story short, the contractor ended up overdosing on heroin and died in the property. And not only that, but like, after a few days, like the body actually explodes.
No.
From like laying, from being there. And then what happened was, all the internal like liquids or juices or whatever, it exploded and then it burned through like the hardwood floors down into the basement. And they had a...
What was he taking? Acid?
Well, no, I mean, I think that's what actually happens after a couple of days of like, if you leave a body by itself, something happens.
No one saw him or
well,
no
nobody,
one knew he
they
was
didn't
there?
came for,
this
didn't
guy,
come by for a week.
The guy that we know hadn't heard from the contractor in like a week or 2 weeks. He just happened to go by the house and...
Well, he's like, he wasn't picking up his phone, so then he went to go check on it. But as far as like the insurance perspective of it, the owner didn't have any, not even like had no property insurance on the property, and it ended up costing $26,000 that he had to pay in cash, which
For
was
the
like
damages.
for everything, for like the cleanup crew to replace like what was like damaged.
Forensics.
And it was like probably the same price that the rehab was, like, like double the rehab budget from like a business perspective.
Right.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a less morbid story.
Let's see.
We know of an investor out in Florida who had at the time, I think he had done maybe 400 rehabs, and one of his roofers actually ended up he didn't have the right shoes on,
And he showed up drunk.
And actually ended up falling from the roof. He passed, and then the family sued the investor. Ended up losing about just over $3 million or something like that,
Yeah.
because the guy had a couple of kids and all that. Then the family sued the company. He ended up losing it all.
Yeah. And was it really his fault? I mean, it's debatable, right? You come to your work site, you're drunk, and come on,
He was wearing
contractors.
gym shoes instead of like working shoes like you would normally wear.
And contractors,
from
there's
one day to
so
the
many,
next,
so
wipe them
many
out.
that are talented. Don't show up drunk.
Yeah.
Or stop it with the beers. Be professional. Stop it with the beers after a day's work.
Yeah.
I've
Tell me
seen
about
that.
it. We've shown up and they have like 224
Yes.
box,
Oh, here
224 pound
comes
boxes.
the.
Yeah, we had one project. Every
the
time we
mean
showed up,
witch.
there was just beer.
Let's go into the questions, man.
All right.
I think we're getting pretty close to the hour here.
If you had one piece of advice to someone just starting out, what would it be?
Oh, God. That's where you draw yourself a blank, right? One piece of advice. If you're planning on becoming an entrepreneur, go for it. Just do it. Do something that you're passionate about. And I love Oprah's comment or saying in reference to good luck. What is good luck? It's when opportunity crosses preparation. It really is. It's that. If you're prepared for it, do it. If you have the funds for it, do it. And it's not always going to be a proven success for everyone. There's different types of hurdles. So if people tell you it's a proven success, yeah, come and talk to me. I'll let you know if it is or not.
What was the worst piece of advice you ever got?
Wow. Trust. Never trust people. Trust in a way of your partners, like who you're going to do business with. I think I overly trust. I give the people the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes if they don't have the same passion as you do, you're going to end up losing more than they are. And it could be financially or it could be emotionally at the end of the day.
Or you could waste a few years of your life trying to make something work.
Exactly.
What habits helped make you successful?
Persistence. Having structure.
What do you mean by structure?
Structure is really identifying what you want to do. Do you want to be the 9-to-5 agency owner that's going to be stuck in your office all day, or do you want to have structure and say, you know what, I need to go and take my kickboxing class today, or I need to go out and help out mom with something, and but have structure that fits you, not structure that fits like everyone. But you still have to make money. You still have to be here. So I am a believer of educating my clients to the way I do business. I'm not here to be an order taker. I'm here to do business for you and give you a recommendation. Same way that I've always said, if you're going to go get some coffee, if you go to Starbucks, you're going to say tall, grande, or venti.
I still say medium.
No way.
Fuck yeah.
No, you don't.
They're so dumb. Fucking.
Well, they've developed this way of doing business, right?
How is grande bigger than tall?
Well, what does venti mean? It's Italian.
It's 20
20
ounces.
ounce, buddy.
Stupid.
No, he's the only without question.
I hate
No,
it.
I better not see you at Starbucks.
I don't. Actually, I just had Starbucks on Saturday.
But they created this way of doing business, and if you're gonna walk into a Starbucks, that's the way to do it. Well, if you want to do business with me, this is the way I'm gonna help you.
Yeah,
and
no
I'm gonna
cash
hold
payments.
No cash payments, buddy. Like, no, you can knock on my wall. Can I here make a payment? No. I don't even know how to write a receipt.
I guess before we go to the next question, since we're kind of into that, what would you change about the insurance industry? Like, if you could change one thing, or
build relationships. I think about the agents that have been my agents in the past. Was the agent the one building a relationship with me, or was it the agency owner? So towards agency owners, take the time to develop your staff members. Take the time to implement that same passion to them, or identify if they're going to have the passion. Don't just be the jerk that you have to do so many dials and bang the phones, and you're really not teaching them anything. So I'm really trying to change the industry as far as building that trust with the agency owner. And if you trust the agency owner, then you should trust the staff members as well.
it stems from the top, every company.
It starts from the top.
Have you ever turned down a client,
Yes,
and why?
because they want to play with the big boys and they're not ready to be big boy. They don't want to spend the big boy money.
What living or dead person other than family members do you most admire?
I admire Oprah, Michelle Obama, just because they're just out there and they had their struggles, and now they're talking about their struggles.
I think Michelle Obama changed the way that First Lady is supposed to act.
Yes.
Have you seen that? There's that new Netflix episode or special with David Letterman. It's called My Next Guest Needs No Introduction.
I've seen it, but I haven't seen if there's a
His first one was Obama.
Obama,
And
was it?
he talks about, obviously he needs no introduction.
Yes.
And they talk a lot about how Michelle Obama changed
Right.
the way that a First Lady is supposed to not only look at, but the things that she does, and how much influence you have once you're in that position, and why she chose to, put herself out there and actually make an impact in people's lives.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like going back to, some of the friends or clients that I had. Oh, wow, I thought you were just a party girl. Yes, I could gather people together and have so much fun, but they've uncovered that, oh my gosh, she's full of knowledge.
Yeah.
So similar to Michelle Obama, she could go out there and be her. I come from the hood. I'm Mexican. My parents were first-generation immigrants, but they put me through Catholic school. I'm the Catholic school girl. So
I went to not Catholic school girl, but I went to
she went to the
Catholic school from like kindergarten up until like 9th grade before we moved here.
Oh yeah.
I went from 3rd to 8th.
Because private school here is too expensive, so I went to public school here.
Don't tell a Catholic school girl not to do something, because we will do it, and we will do it in a fashionable
It's all that
way.
oppression.
That's good advice.
Next, Matt.
Do you have a morning routine?
Giving thanks to God. God's still part of my life, and just giving that time to my mom also. A lot of our generation, we're so involved with social media that even they're not paying so much attention to their own children. The children are trying to get the kids' attention, and the mom's not even paying attention to them, or the father's not paying attention to them. But it comes down to a point where we're going to take care of our parents. Yeah. And if we're at that generation that we're making so much money, where's that money going to go? If our parents didn't plan for their long-term retirement properly, it's going to come from us. And trust me, no one's going to raise their hand and volunteer to take over. So if you're the most, caring one of them all, it'll be you. In my case, it was my sister and I, and we bust our behinds trying to help out as much as possible.
What is one thing you find to be true that most people would disagree with?
To everyone, there is a sense of, there's a lot of people that still want to avoid college or university. They don't want to pay for it. And I understand that school is not for everyone, but they also feel that a trades job or a trade school would be the route to go. That's perfectly fine as well. But you could spend your whole life learning from all of these programs that are out there, but you also need that sense of community or whatever the college world teaches you. It just throws you out there and you just learn certain things that are not taught in the real world. If that makes sense. I don't know how to
I get that. It's like, if you homeschool your kid, like growing up, instead of them being out in school, like, because school's more about like socializing, right?
Right.
So if you're in college, they're a weirdo.
Huh?
First off, they're usually weirdos.
Yeah.
You
think? If you go to college is like, about making connections and meeting other people, and then like, as adults, and then
right.
you're getting that sense of community.
I mean, I had a culture clash when I first stepped into UIC. Growing up in the Catholic school since kindergarten, then went to an all-girl private school here in Blacktown, Josephinum. And it's now you're exposed to a 400 student auditorium, and it's a public school, and it's like, oh my God, no one knows my name. Like, I had that culture clash, but I just had to get over it. It made me more confident. It made me who I am now. You grow the thick skin. And for everyone also that identifies the corporate world, I don't want to go to the corporate world. I want to be an entrepreneur. Go out and test the waters in the corporate world. Sometimes it's not the companies, like I said in the beginning, it's who your leaders are, so-called leaders. But you need to learn about the HR issues. You need to learn how they train people. So from my past employers, thank God I've had them. Thank God, because it made me who I am now.
And I think if you're wondering whether you should go to the corporate world or not, then you're probably not a purebred entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right.
Because you're going to run a corporation yourself.
Because I feel like usually people who really don't belong in the corporate world, they're never going to try it because they know that they're a purebred entrepreneur and they're never going to have a job anyway. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Weren't you in the corporate world?
Yeah. But that's just because... So there's also that thing, right? Like for me, I like the structure of having a job just because I'm more of I like systems and I like structure, but I also, it was more of a guilt thing than anything else.
Why guilt?
Not guilt, but I felt obligated just for, from being first generation American, being here and wanting to go into the corporate world because that's what my parents expected of me, and then when I got in there, I realized that I didn't belong. I did like the structure, because that's usually like my biggest challenge, right? Having structure. If I don't have structure, I can't. I'm way too all over the place. So I think it was more of a thing where I just wanted to please my parents, and because that's what they expected of me. But once I got in there, I didn't feel like I just didn't belong. Yeah. And then I had to have that talk with my mom because I talked to her about that, and I was like, I just don't belong here. Yeah. And she was very supportive of me. She's like, if you want to quit. She's like, if you get, it's like, it's also having that balance where you have to be happy about what you do. Yes. If you're like if that's for you and you're happy doing a full-time 8 to 6:30, which is the reality, then do that. If you're happy being an entrepreneur and you don't fall, or you don't you're able to deal with the pressure of not having a steady income, then do you, right? I feel like everybody should do what they actually want to do. Right. And I don't regret being in the corporate world. I wasn't there very long. I mean, I quit when I was like, 24, 23. So it's been a little while.
Good for you.
And I have no regrets. I did learn a lot of things. I think, like you said, there's a lot of things that people can learn. And I think there's some benefit to it. But if you think that you can't, or I think you should give it at least a little bit of a try, right?
Yes.
Because it teaches you a lot of things. College does, it teaches you how to write papers and put your put your thoughts together and all that. So I don't know.
That's a perfect segue into our next question, Veronica. Why do you do what you do? What gets you through the tough times?
I have a passion for what I do. I guess it's also fear.
For insurance?
For insurance, yes. I know it sounds boring, but when you're talking to someone that knows what they want, especially like the floaters with jewelry, right? And it's like, oh, let me see your jewelry. Let me see how many carats is this diamond, and this is how much we need to insure it for, and putting it as a floater. It becomes my Mona Lisa. It becomes a masterpiece when I have a client and I'm structuring their policies the right way.
Yeah.
And it's an art. Selling is definitely an art. So I do enjoy it, and every day I'm trying to become the masterpiece.
Talking about the Mona Lisa, I just saw it a week ago. It's not that impressive.
Mona Lisa smile or the actual?
The actual
paint?
Mona Lisa.
Where did you see it at?
Paris.
You went to Paris?
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't mean to drop that in there, but I've always wanted to see it. We went to the Louvre, like where it's at, and they make you go through the entire museum, which is fucking enormous.
Yes.
It was like a 15-minute walk just to get through the Mona Lisa.
Right.
And I got there, and obviously, there's just like 100 people trying to get through. It looks like a mob, like a concert. When you have a person singing, and there's like all these people in the front, right? Like general admission. That's literally what it looked like trying to get to see the Mona Lisa, which was also like 8 by 10. I wasn't that impressed.
It wasn't that impressive.
Maybe I just set it up like, I don't know shit about art.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so tiny.
Yeah.
I was like, seriously? For real?
Yeah.
This is it?
It's like when I went to the 60s Chapel, right? You really need to learn the history behind it.
That's probably, I don't know enough about it, but I wasn't very impressed.
And when Michelangelo, just knowing everything he went through to create that masterpiece is more the value that I give to it. Yes.
Enormous.
You're just like, oh, they're just making me walk through this line. And
I was more impressed by a lot of other paintings that were there. Huh?
And don't take any pictures?
They let you take pictures. I'll show you a picture right now, but there was literally 100 people with their cell phones out taking selfies and putting Snapchat filters on the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is funny.
All right, 2 questions left. Do you have a favorite failure? Is there one that set you up to a future success?
Favorite failure is... God... creating the same, I guess your first teachers are your parents, right? In my mind, it was my parents, and just, okay, you create these habits with money, and it's always the spending, and let's spend. And I just couldn't understand. Sometimes I'm very observant, and I couldn't, and being the youngest of 7, it's like I can't understand what's going on. You just observe and say, why is mom spending money on this, but she's not paying for the tuition, right? Because then you become, hey, take this letter to your mom, and you're behind on the tuition. So it's really the understanding of money. And yes, I became that individual in the beginning, but then I said, okay, this needs to stop. And I need to educate myself the right way, and where do I want to take myself. And if everyone feels that they had less advantages in this world, we're in the U.S. and we have the same advantages. It's all what you want to do with your opportunities. So you need to educate yourself and find the value of money. What does it do for you? And running the business with a purpose. And with a purpose, I'm trying to say, it's like, if I become a millionaire tomorrow, what will I do? Who will I help? And there's so many things that I would do. It's versus just saying, hey, I'm just going to blow up this money and buy a yacht and go cruise down the Atlantic as far as I can and figure out if there's actually, are we in a round earth or are we actually in a squared one?
Are you a flat earther?
Probably.
Last question. What do you wish you knew before you started your business?
I think I already knew it. I knew that I needed that backbone. And that backbone meaning a lot of people are married and have their husband's income, right? A lot of people are trust babies and they have their trust fund money. So I already knew that I was going to come into this and it's still just me. But I'm going to die not wishing or thinking that I wish I would have done it. So if I'm going to fail, I better fail fast and go move on to my next project. And what my next project would probably be is become that female GC. And everybody out there better watch out because, it's all these men industry. I'm going to turn it into a female one, which I'm definitely going to join what is it called? The Rehab Depot.
Ryan Gersolazzo.
Yeah, because it's like when I heard his podcast, I was like, whoa, he's my type of God. Totally.
Hope you're listening, Ryan. We got you a referral.
Yeah. And he gave me the time of day. I reached out to him. So he's
cool,
like,
dude.
What are your thoughts on insurance, dude? I just want to, it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking when you feel that, hey, this guy knows so much. Will he even answer my questions? Yes, people that are willing to teach and be out there.
He's very straightforward, too.
He's very straightforward.
No bullshit,
He's so like me. Like, it might come out offensively, but I'm straightforward. I'm going to try to be as nice as possible.
Yeah, it feels offensive to those people who are, like, pussyfooting around.
I agree.
I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you for giving us the time.
Yeah. Veronica, where can people find you if they want to get insurance or...
At 2145 Northwestern. I do by appointments as well. So give me a call, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions, get to know what you're all about. And if anyone's looking to get into the insurance industry and has no idea where to go or how to get started, give me a call. I'm all about helping someone.
What's your number?
773-908-9087. And that's my cell phone. So I'll just throw it out there. Look at my business page on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram, and my business webpage as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Until next time, guys.